So what's the deal with red light cameras?
Hi, good morning. Well, city officials approved 19 cameras.
Connecticut City is considering red light cameras.
Mayor Justin Elliker proposed the measure for cameras here in New Haven. He said this is all about making sure streets are safe for everyone.
News 8's Brittany Schaefer has more on how people are responding.
Totally in favor.
So this week, we're going to be looking into what red light cameras are, what they actually do, and how did we get here in the first place. So first, let's start with how we got here. And for that, we can honestly go way back, like pre-pandemic back, like before 2020 when life just felt, I don't know, a little less apocalyptic. Red light cameras have been a topic of discussion since 2010. The cameras capture the license plate of motorists that run red lights, and then that motorist is later mailed a ticket. And unfortunately, the roads in Connecticut haven't necessarily been the safest. According to the Connecticut Crash Data Repository at the University of Connecticut, there have been 313 traffic deaths in Connecticut, a combination of drivers, passengers, motorcyclists, pedestrians, and bicyclists as of December 13th, with another dozen or so expected by the end of last year, and there were a total of 308 traffic deaths in Connecticut in 2023. As for accidents caused by people running red lights nationally, those numbers are also bad. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, red light running happens frequently and is often deadly. In 2022, 1,149 people were killed in crashes that involved red light running. They continue. Also in 2022, 1,149 people were killed in those crashes, and half of those killed were pedestrians, bicyclists, and people in other vehicles who were hit by the red light runners. In 2022, more than 107,000 people were injured in red light crashes. So the data is pretty clear that these crashes caused by people running the red light is not only preventable, but it also can be reduced with the usage of cameras. So back to the work of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, when it comes to crash reductions, an IIHS study comparing large cities with red light safety cameras to those without found devices reduce the fatal red light running crash rate by 21% and the rate of all types of fatal crashes at signalized intersections by 14%. And although those numbers are encouraging, not everyone is ready to be on camera.
If this gets passed, you're headed down a slippery slope.
The potential for red light cameras in Bristol getting stop and go from residents.
I don't think it'll help public safety. I think cars are going to get rear-ended more, and it'll actually cause more problems than it helps.
And he's not alone. I mean, if you check out Capitol Dispatch, there's an interesting article that dives into the largely Republican opposition to not just the cameras, but also the Vision Zero Council Pedestrian Safety Law that was passed in 2023. 2/3 of Republican state senators voted against the bill, and in the House, 70% of Republicans voted no. Both Republican reps from Bristol also voted no. And if you're wondering what the Vision Zero Council is, it's not as cool as it sounds, because I genuinely was picturing the Illuminati from Multiverse of Madness. But according to the Vision Zero Network, Vision Zero is a strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, equitable mobility for all. First implemented in Sweden in the 1990s, Vision Zero has proved successful across Europe and is now gaining momentum in major American cities. And to go back to this fellow from Bristol who was concerned about cars getting rear-ended, he's not 100% wrong, but he might be taking an all or nothing approach to the problem, and people close to the situation say, you just can't do that.
Jackson, executive director of UConn's Traffic Safety Institute, said this is a swap he'd take.
You end up trading a very severe, highly injury-producing crash with a less severe rear-end type collision. So
West Hartford Town Manager Rick Ledwith also serves on West Hartford's Vision Zero Task Force, whose main principle is deaths and serious injuries caused by traffic crashes are preventable. He said his team is aware of the potential for more rear-end crashes at the dozen-plus intersections where traffic light cameras may go.
We hope not to see that, but certainly the impact of a rear-end crash is less significant than someone getting T-boned going 30 miles an hour through a red light that they shouldn't be going through.
And in addition to reducing harmful and potentially fatal crashes, studies also show that red light cameras positively influence driver behavior, and research shows that red light camera fines are effective deterrents, reducing repeat offenses without disproportionately penalizing communities. And according to another study, in addition to using cameras to discourage dangerous driving habits, local officials could use them to help address complaints of racial profiling in specific neighborhoods or communities. So, it's a good thing in the long and honestly in the short term. And listen, I'm not gonna act like I'm the best driver or that I don't understand why anyone would be apprehensive to any form of surveillance. However, safety does have to come first. The free society rests on the foundation that our first priority is to protect not just ourselves, but our communities, and red light cameras will save lives.
Breaking news. Multiverse of Madness was mid. Anyway, here's the guy from that band app.
Oh, and in other news, there's a new state senator in Connecticut, actually 2 new state senators, and I talked to one of them who also has the distinction of being the first South Asian woman to hold a Senate seat.
My parents came here looking for a better life for their children. They were both able to vote for me, and they're here to see me become the first Indian state senator in Connecticut.
Hi everyone, I'm Sujata Gadkar-Wilcox, and I'm the new senator for District 22, which includes Bridgeport, Trumbull, and Monroe.
Has it hit you yet? And at like what point did it hit you? They're like, oh wow, I'm a state senator.
Yeah, I think it hit me this week as I have all of my first committee meeting, my first vote, my first press conference. Yep. So this week I'm like, oh, okay, this feels that now I feel like the senator, and you know, people will stop you in the hall and say senator. I stopped turning around saying, who are you talking to? You know, I mean,
as a teacher of democracy and the Constitution, it's really an honor and a privilege to be living, breathing, and embodying those very same values and those principles.
And it's a job that I love. I love working with students, and I love teaching. I also happen to love democracy, and I want to see you know, a democratic process that it's about relationships and about community engagement. And so I'm so thrilled to be in a position to then also be able to advocate for the policy issues that are important to the community that I represent. And I love the 22nd district. I mean, it's the best district in Connecticut. You know,
everybody says that.
It's fantastic. It is. And especially for me because, you know, so I grew up in New York City, in Queens.
Okay.
And we've been living in Trumbull for 20 years. So I'm an urban, suburban person.
Yep.
I'm a kid of immigrants, I'm a person of color. This district is one of the most diverse districts in Connecticut. So to me, it has that sense of community that we built.
And especially honored to be here, I believe, as the first Indian senator in Connecticut ever, and the first South Asian woman.
So just talk to me a little bit about what that means to you.
That means a lot to me, because, you know, when I first ran with my funny sounding name, you know, it took a while for people to say, how do you say that? You know, and that's what I love about grassroots politics, because, you know, at some point that just becomes familiar. And if you ask people really now in Trumbull, Bridgeport, and Monroe too, because of all the grassroots campaigning, they know Sujata.
I did read that your favorite show is Parks and Rec.
Yes.
So I know obviously you probably don't have a ton of time, but like, you know, what's your 5 to 9 look like after work? Like, are you able to like watch much? Like,
no, I mean, even now, now it's a good thing I was watching that long before, and I think I even started watching Parks and Rec after almost when it was, you know, not being aired regularly. But what drew me to Parks and Rec was this sense of, you know, government that's about community, and of course, even the group that's being portrayed there becomes their own community. And I feel like that with my grassroots team, you know, we only got to know each other because we were involved in politics, and they feel like a family to me.
I did watch a lot of The Office.
Yes, I love The Office too.
Which Office character are you?
Oh my gosh. All right, so Parks and Rec, I've thought about that many times. So The Office, well, so I have a couple of things there, because, you know, Andy went to Cornell, so I always
I was gonna say I'm Andy, because my sense of humor is very corny.
It's very, I think I'm more like a Jim figure, you know.
Okay.
I try to kind of build consensus in the office.
Okay. So as far as Jim, do you like look like off screen at like an imaginary camera whenever somebody says something that doesn't make sense? Can you give the camera
Oh my gosh. No, I'm usually like, gosh, when's the camera going to be off? So I can, like, you know, yeah.
What are some other things that you like to do in your spare time, some other hobbies, things that people would be like, wow, I didn't know a professor and state senator would be interested in that?
And that, well, I did. One thing, I mean, I used to choreograph Bollywood dance, actually, when I was at law school.
Wow.
And we did it with friends who were both South Asian and friends who were not South Asian, and it was a big kind of multicultural mix.
Yeah. So was
I
it
guess.
like you would choreograph a number and then like they would do it at like a
Yes, we used to have a big event.
town green or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so I was at law school at University of Pennsylvania, so they would have an undergraduate show.
Oh.
And they were known to have this undergraduate show, and then we would be there. I think we were called the lawyers because we should have come up with a better name.
Yeah.
But it was like the lawyers are now going to dance.
That is what we are.
Yeah. It's so typical for lawyers. We didn't even think that we should be more creative. We're like, okay.
No, but we're lawyers.
So there's video of that actually. I have to find that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, from then. That was a lot of fun.
So I want to thank the people of the 22nd District. It's the best district in the state of Connecticut. I'm really looking forward to serving the community.
Awesome. Thank you very much for giving me your time. I know you have a lot going on. And just best of luck the rest of the session.
Great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Breaking news. The guy from TikTok somehow managed to lock himself in the Capitol content cave. So maybe we'll have a new episode next week. And yes, Multiverse of Madness was mid. See you next week.